Bruh.
Here we come. It's the start of Inuyasha.
We're going to gather all the shards of the sacred jewel.
And I'll destroy Naraku with my Tensaiga.
Wow. Hi. Welcome back to our marriage falling apart.
What are you talking about? Howdy! Our marriage isn't falling apart. We just watched Yashahime.
Wow.
So, alright. I guess I need to get it. Where do you. Over the can!
This is what a healthy marriage looks like.
So, if you follow this channel, we've discussed this many times, but we are Inuyasha fans.
Just a little bit.
Inuyasha fans.
We enjoy a little Inuyasha here and there.
So if you're new here, if you're searching things, I just want to give you the perspective that we are people who are generally pretty bonerific about some Inuyasha. But I gotta explain, like, the context of how we love Inuyasha.
It's important.
And, like, and what it means to love Inuyasha in 2020.
So deep.
Because there's... people consume things in different ways, and they have different understandings of, like, what is good and bad. And I feel like there's like, internet shitlords have, like, a very narrow cone of, like, trying to think of things as, like, being objectively good or bad, and seek out reviews of, like, I need to validate my opinion on how thing I like is objectively good, and if you like something that's not objectively good, it's like, oh, this is my guilty pleasure or my trash taste, you know?
I believe in the words of Digibro. Objectivity doesn't exist.
Yeah. So it's like, when I say I love Inuyasha, it's like, would I make a big argument for why Inuyasha is a masterpiece and the plot of it is so good? No, obviously not. Like, if you do think Inuyasha is a masterpiece, I would be on your side. And if you told me Inuyasha is shit and here's why, I would also agree. Because I see it from every angle and every perspective. Because there's a certain level you can get to of, like, you know, loving something and then hating something, recognizing all of its flaws, but then, like, with the knowledge of how flawed it is, coming back around and being like, I love it despite all of that. That's where I'm at with Inuyasha, you know?
Appreciating Inuyasha is like being in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Where you realize the person you're with has weird quirks and flaws, but you come to terms with it, and eventually you start thinking they're charming.
In the flaws are charming, you know? It's like, the things that someone would dislike about Inuyasha, I'm like, well, that's what's special about it. It's so... It's bad in these ways that I love. And Inuyasha for me is like a warm hug on a cold night, you know?
Inuyasha has been there for you for longer than most people have been there for you.
Yeah, it's like, I started watching Inuyasha when I was 10, and, like, I went through the stages of, like, being a kid and thinking it was the coolest thing ever, to, like, being a teenager and thinking it went to shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like everyone does. And then coming back around to being an adult and watching it again and just going like, you know, if I don't project my expectations of what a good show is onto this, and I accept it really for what it is and how well it accomplishes its own, like, criteria of its own goals, which is just, like, to be an episodic adventure show where they go and fight monsters. Like, when it comes to being an episodic adventure where they go into a place and experience a demon and beat the demon, it does a fantastic job, and I love it.
It's a great monster of the week formula.
Because when you get into
show.
people's criticisms of Inuyasha, it's coming from, like, a broad plot perspective, you know, of, like, oh, the plot doesn't go anywhere, the characters are too stagnant, but it's like, But what I love about Inuyasha is that it's a bunch of characters who can go into a situation and react in ways that complement each other based on their character, and they don't need to grow or change. You know, it's kind of like
it's
if
classic shonen, you know.
Yeah, if you look at something like an American comedy like South Park. South Park can only continue because the characters are stagnant. If they grew and changed, you can't have the show anymore because they have to be like the point is the scenarios, not the individual characters.
It's putting them in a bunch of different situations and watching what happens.
Yeah, you have
Not,
defined character
not
archetypes,
personal growth.
so that no matter what you throw at them, you know how these characters will react. And it's more about the individual plots. I get a lot of enjoyment out of Inuyasha in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, some of the plots are really fun. Oh, they're being shrunken by a giant and put in jars. And, like, there's a lot of those little episodes where I'm like, this episode to me is really great, you know? There's a lot of gems in there and nuggets. And that's part of, like, my actual legitimate enjoyment of Inuyasha. And then there's, like, I do enjoy the incredibly slow character growth over many, many, many episodes that does end up going somewhere. But, like, I love Inuyasha in these little unique ways while also recognizing the vast, vast flaws within. And would not expect anyone to actually love Inuyasha, you know?
But, I mean, let's also be fair in that Inuyasha has absolutely banging music. Like, that truly is great. Like, the soundtrack of Inuyasha is fucking iconic.
Yeah.
And anyone who's ever watched Inuyasha will immediately recognize the music from the show.
And sometimes you can enjoy things on a level that's beyond that surface of, like, plot and character, where it's like the soundtrack really does contribute so much for me that it elevates it, you know? And it's partially the deep, deep nostalgia I have for that soundtrack. Where it's like, I just love hearing it and seeing the characters and hearing their voices and watching them do a wind scar. And, like, I love witnessing that,
I love
you know?
to watch a good wind scar.
I never get tired of it. It's like playing the same game over and over again. Like, I have that level of, like, kinetic aesthetic attachment to Inuyasha where it doesn't really matter what's going on. I just like watching
You just like to
Inuyasha.
watch these characters do things.
I like the characters. Kagome and Sango are babes. I will watch them do anything. I don't really care if they grow or change. Like, I like what they are. I like Moroku, the character, and I don't need him to do anything differently. I like these characters, you know?
I think you need to have a particular set of expectations when you come to Inuyasha, and it's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be fucking Full Alchemist Brotherhood. You're not going to get these characters that grow and change and do all these amazing things. You know what you're getting into, you know? But I think it also helps to have that history, you know, like maybe you were a 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl watching Inuyasha and you were like low-key in love with him, and then you got older and you were like, oh, cringe, bro. And then as an adult, you watched Inuyasha with your husband on the couch and you were like, nah, this is still fucking sick, though. This is great.
Yeah. It's like there's an illogical, emotional reason for our love of Inuyasha that goes beyond the constraints of, like, what people would normally consider valid criticism of something.
Yeah. There's something about Inuyasha that just, it reaches,
and there's something else
past
where, like, there's such a childish enjoyment you could have when, like, you take something like Inuyasha the Final Act, where, like, my expectations going into that are so incredibly low that I could not give a fuck what happens. Like, anything they do is gonna be impressive to me because I don't fucking care. Like,
it's Inuyasha.
It doesn't matter. And then when it goes off the rails and goes in hilarious directions, I'm like, I love this because I don't care. I just want to see these characters do things, and I want those things to be fun and entertaining, you know?
There is no stakes in Inuyasha.
So for me, going into a new Inuyasha property, it cannot fail. Like, the movies, we've seen all the movies. The movies cannot fail for me, because Inuyasha has been set up in a way where you just take these characters and you put them wherever. And they could do anything. And it's another episode of Inuyasha, and I enjoy watching Inuyasha, so I don't really give a fuck what happens at all. Like, obviously it's not going to contribute to the plot. No. But Inuyasha's plot moves so slowly, it doesn't matter. Because nothing contributes to the plot. It's just characters doing things. Like, who gives a fuck about the overarching plot?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're fighting a monster of the week or Naraku has happened to show up and you know he's gonna fuck off by the end of the episode because what, are they gonna kill Naraku? No.
Yeah. So, all that being said, it just that's a context I want to give for how I enjoy this new Inuyasha, because like going into it I'm like, it cannot fail me because my expectations are so ridiculously low that literally anything they do will be fun for me. I don't care. Like, I don't care if it's
doesn't
good.
matter.
The fact that it's these characters in this soundtrack dicking around, it's fine. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I just want to see Kagome and Inuyasha, and I want to laugh my ass off at literally everything and just feel comfy and enjoy my fucking self. I want to enjoy myself for once in my fucking life.
It's
I want to sit down
2020.
and watch 20
Let me
minutes of
enjoy
something
Inuyasha.
and just be like, colors on a screen, I don't fucking care, you know?
It's the adult equivalent of Coco Melon.
And it will certainly scratch that itch. But episode 1. So all that aside, like, because I think anyone else coming at this will be like, this was a shit first episode.
I think it depends on who you're talking to.
Probably. Because episode 1, I want to call this episode 0.
Right, I think that's probably a better description. It's kind of a cluster.
Yeah. Because, like, it kind of sets up, I guess, for what the plot of this is gonna be, but also fuck nothing happens. And it could be completely removed and would make no difference, very clearly.
She loves bongo ties. What's up with that?
Yeah, Lala's over there eating a bongo tie, if you guys even know what the fuck bongo ties are. But, so, the episode starts off, and it's our new character, Yashahime. That is not her name, it's
Her
just
name is
people are
Toa.
calling her that. Yeah.
Toa Higurashi.
Toa Higurashi. And she's sitting in a room with like these two old timey Japanese dudes.
Feudal
guys.
vassal guy.
And like this was actually the most impressive part of the episode, which blew me away. Because these two guys have her, and I guess they found one of her school books.
Yeah, they found a history book that someone had on them.
Because she is from the future and has come back to feudal times just like Kagome did. We don't know how yet because they
haven't gotten into
don't
it.
get into any of that in the
get
first
there.
episode. But they found her school textbook, and so they're like grilling her on like, what are these things? What is this? Is this the future? Like trying to get information out of her, and then they like bring out on like this special thing, like a bike seat that they found in a lake. But they're treating it like it's like this artifact, like this
strange foreign object, like
they don't know
alien
what the fuck
technology.
it is. And like I kind of love that because in like all of Inuyasha, like 200 fucking episodes, there is almost no acknowledgement beyond the central characters of anything Kagome brings from the future.
None of the villagers that see her riding the bike, they're all just like, oh, it's totally normal. Yeah, whatever.
Well, like, they'll be like, oh, she dresses strangely, or
They do
like,
say
what
she
is this
dresses
contraption?
weird.
But like, it's never plot relevant at all.
No.
Like, Naraku never acknowledges any of this. Like, things will
Naraku
come to the
doesn't care.
future and fuck up in modern time, but like, they never make any use of like time shenanigans in a meaningful way. Maybe a little bit in some subplots where like things came in the future that were set up in the past, but like there's no like moment of like, oh, we're gonna change the past and it'll have repercussions in the future. None of that. It doesn't really bother with time travel. And the world does not really care that Kagome is from the future, and she has no impact on their technology or any of that.
It doesn't like make them fearful of her or anything. It doesn't make them want to kill her because she's an unknown entity that they can't understand. They're just like, whatever, it's fine.
Like, maybe they do at some points in the show, but it's so long, and I strongly don't
important
feel
at
like it's
all.
ever important. From, like, my rewatching and watching of Inuyasha, like, I don't ever remember it being really important beyond, like, episode 1,
Not
you know?
really.
So it was very interesting, and I'd be very interested to see if this plot goes in that kind of direction, where they are acknowledging, like...
Because Toa does seem like she's kind of disconcerted that they have the history book. She's like, oh, that could fuck with the future if they read, like, what is supposed to happen.
She seems like a very conscious, like, intelligent, sort of introspective
she's very
character.
cognizant of, like, what's going on around her and how her actions can create repercussions.
And it could be really interesting, because it doesn't seem like with this central cast, they're all 3 girls, you know?
Yes.
And they don't seem like they're interested in... like, you know, the plot of Inuyasha, it's a bunch of love triangles that really keep the characters motivated throughout the plot, and then there's like a big overarching simple plot, we gotta go kill the bad guy,
Get
you know?
Naraku.
So like if
Right.
this went in a different direction where like they actually kind of influence the world, because Inuyasha's plot also takes place like around warring states, feudal Japan, like there's rifles at some point, you know? So it's like a lot of shit is happening in the world
There's a lot.
that like is not acknowledged by the plot whatsoever. I think Nobunaga's in one of the movies or something, like
I think so.
one of those fucking guys. Like it's
Some
around that
dude,
time.
a
And
warlord.
it's one of those where it's like there's demons everywhere, but this is like 400 or 500 years ago. Like it's not.
Yeah, back when demons were
There's
dead.
like over in America, there's cowboys right now. Like one of the weird things about Inuyasha. So it would be very interesting if like they actually did get into sort of the political state of Japan at the time, and that's what it felt like it was alluding to at the very beginning there. Now, I'm commenting on about a minute of what happened in this episode because the
Yeah.
rest of it had fuck nothing to do with that, which makes me have very low hopes that it will go in that direction. But it would be pretty interesting. So,
Well-
so what actually happens in this episode?
So a majority of this episode is spent reacquainting you with the original cast of Inuyasha and what they've been getting up to.
Mm-hmm.
So they established that Kagome has stayed in the feudal era. She's training to be a priestess. So I'm assuming she's training under Kaede.
Yeah.
Sango and Moroku have 3 kids, so they
Yes.
wasted 0% of time doing
So,
that.
I mean, to be fair, because like while we're watching it, I'm like, all right, so Kagome and Sango, fuck it, they're moms now. Just
I don't think
they're
Kagome
done. They're
has
moms
a
now.
child.
Well, she
It's-
eventually has a child.
Eventually,
We know
but
that she
not right
does.
now.
So
yeah,
she's probably not going to do much important.
yeah.
Like, what was Kikyo really doing as the priestess? Sitting around. She would stand around the village and shoot an arrow sometimes. Like, she wasn't doing anything that important.
Whatever.
Maybe, like, it would be cool if Kagome were, like, a traveling priestess that, like, really had an influence on Japan and wiping out the demons, because we know that there's no demons in modern times, so where did they go? That would be nice to, like, to go through with this plot, but, you know.
I mean,
But it's
don't worry about
Inuyasha.
it.
The bar of expectations is incredibly low.
Right.
So, but, I would just want to say, Sango's personality... I mean, did you think she'd do anything but become a mom? Honestly, her entire motivation was like, first it was her village and her dad pressuring her into being a monster hunter, and then it was revenge. And now she has revenge. The only other thing she cared about besides revenge was fucking Moroku.
yeah.
So she's pretty much set up to be a mom. Like, she fulfilled her purpose. She has zero interest.
You knew.
She's a mom now, you know?
I'm a mom.
It makes sense. I don't hate it. It sucks that she was a powerful woman and now she's relegated to being just a mom. But maybe she's one of those like, oh, being a mom is tough and cool and the most
To be
empowering
fair,
thing.
they do give Sango a little moment later in the episode where she
Yeah,
gets to use
a little,
Hirai
but,
codes,
you
and you're
know.
like, oh, yeah, she can do the thing.
Yeah, at least she kept her body after pumping out 3 kids like in quick succession.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Well, twins and then a single, so I guess,
I'm just saying though,
shortens
like
the time frame.
Kagome, I guess, must have really well.
Kagome is also
She was hiding the
younger.
condoms from Moroku, is what I'm trying to say. She has many ways that she could be preventing this. And surely if Moroku knew that there were condoms in the future, or birth control, they would not be in this situation. Because Moroku's just busting as many nuts into Sango as he possibly can. He's a horny bastard. It's all he's ever wanted. So, they have no perception right now that they don't have to pump out a bunch of kids.
I'm pretty sure back in the day,
But Kagome, come on.
they didn't think too much
Come on,
about that.
Kagome.
They
You
didn't
have
really
the power
have
here.
the freedom to worry about that back then.
Give Sango a break.
It was a different time.
They already have 3. Maybe take Moroku to get a vasectomy in the future. Come on, man.
Universal healthcare, so Moroku can get a vasectomy.
Put him in a suit. They won't ask any questions. Get that motherfucker.
We've really meandered down a rabbit hole here.
I thought it would be funny, but maybe it's not that funny. But continue.
Anyway, so Inuyasha and Moroku are fucking around somewhere, fighting a demon in a village. They establish that that this demon has been around for a while. His name is he's the root head demon. He's a big boy. He's made out of roots, and he's eaten some people.
Yeah,
he's
he was cool.
Feasting on their nutrients. He decapitates some guys, which is pretty cool. So they aren't able to kill the main body of the root demon, and the root demon, I guess, has been locked up by Kikyo in a cave for 1 billion years, and so he doesn't realize that the Shikon Jewel has been destroyed. So he's running around, and he's like, I want the Shikon Jewel, give me that shit. And they're like, you dumb fuck, the Shikon Jewel isn't around anymore. What's wrong with you?
Which is like, it's the most bare bones, could have happened at any point, any movie. It feels like it's happened 1 million times.
It definitely has.
It's some old guy who hated Kikyo and wants Shikon Jewel. Who the fuck cares?
Doesn't really matter. Not super important.
So episode 1 of this show is a filler episode.
It's just
immediately.
a filler, yeah.
Like, it's quite literally a filler episode.
Because Roothead then decides he's going to go after Kagome, so he goes to the village where Kagome and the gang are staying. A big fight ensues with Roothead, and then everybody uses their special individual powers to help stop him, and they find the main body and they moiter him.
The key takeaways of I think what it wants you to remember, because I had to do a refresher on the characters because it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's just a reintroduction to all these characters, what their baseline personalities, what their relationships are, what their powers are.
I don't think they needed to do it, but it's just something that they always do in anime, because it's just like they have to establish Moroku doesn't have the wind tunnel anymore. That happens at the end of the final act. The Shikon Jewel is gone. You need to establish that.
Gotta remind everybody.
Because it seems like they're going to get into some new jewels is where the plot seems to be going, based on the opening and ending themes. But Moroku doesn't have the wind tunnel anymore. You know, Sanga's obviously got a bunch of kids. And Kagome has her sacred arrow that she can, like, actively do now. You know, like, that is a power that she eventually gets.
She has become stronger, and she can actively use her purifying arrows to fuck bitches up.
And Inuyasha has a fucking interdimensional space sword that, like, launches people into space.
Launches you into space. See ya, buddy.
Yeah, the action sequence is meant to remind you of all of these powers.
Baseline powers.
But it is a catch-up filler episode that fucking doesn't matter at all, and you could just skip it outright.
I mean, unless you want to have a Inuyasha filler adventure, in which case you just do that.
Exactly, because it feels like the first 15 minutes of an Inuyasha movie, which is usually one-off
fighting
villain,
a doofy-ass monster,
bring every imaginable character. Kohaku's there,
Everyone's there, you reestablish everyone's powers so you know where we are in the timeline. Yeah, you know, you get it.
Did Koga die?
No.
Okay, well, they didn't bring him back yet, but...
Well, Koga's not important.
Yeah.
Koga married some other bitch, he gone.
Well,
Bye.
you know if he's still alive, he's gonna show up, or his kid will show up, or whatever.
His kid will probably show up.
His kid will show up.
Yeah, because he married Ayame.
Yeah, like, Sashomaru is there for, like, 5 seconds, and it's like, I'm Sashomaru, and he flies away. Like, he does literally nothing.
What's up, bitches? It's me, Sashomaru.
Remember me, Sashomaru? Bye!
Yup, yeah, he is. So, 80% of the episode is what we just described to you.
Yeah.
The first, 3 minutes is Toa talking to the feudal lord guy and being like, you don't really want to fuck with this. You probably want to let me go.
Yeah.
And then the last, 5 minutes is that coming to fruition as, Setsuna and Moroha, who are the other two main girls.
I'm amazed you
story.
remember everyone's names.
I made an effort. Don't say I didn't try. Bust down the door, and they're like, hey, give us back our girl. I'm here to fuck your shit up. And obviously, Moroha is the one who has, the Inuyasha-esque personality.
Yeah.
She's very brash. She's ready to get violent. She doesn't give a fuck. Setsuna is, Sashomaru-esque. She's got the tail. She's kind of a cooler kind of girl.
So whose kids are each? Like, I know.
I have fucking no clue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if they established it already in the promos.
When you watch the preview for the next episode, they established that Setsuna and Toa are sisters who were separated at birth and then meet again 10 years later.
I didn't realize that.
And then Moroha is, I think she's the one that comes from the future, Kagome's time.
But it
so
seems
I'm really confused. I'm not sure. I'm hoping they'll elucidate that in the second episode.
That's one of the things where it's like you literally could skip this episode. Like, if you're watching this now and this sounds boring to you, just skip it and go to the next one, because nothing fucking happens and nothing is explained. They just shove their new character designs at you, down your face, down your throat. Just love these new characters, love them.
It's the girls!
And it's like, I want to love them, but You gotta tell me who the fuck they are,
Yeah,
or I'm gonna be very confused.
Let's hear it for the girls. Am I right? But
Yeah.
all of this also to establish what I assume will be one of the primary villains of the show, which is the four-eyed owl.
Yeah, the four-eyed owl.
Some demon owl. I completely forgot his name, but he was masquerading as a vassal for this lord, and Moroha's like, I know you. You're Mellow Mike, and she proceeds to attack the shit out of him, and it
Yeah.
is unveiled that he is this demon owl, and he fucks off.
Yeah, and the demon owl was shown in the past, like, watching Kagome and stuff, but, like, he didn't say or do anything really.
He was just an owl sitting on a tree hanging out.
They're establishing some kind of plot. The root, after they destroyed that, like, went and embedded itself in the sacred
into the tree of ages, apparently.
So it might be coming back in the present time.
Which, for those of you who don't remember, is the tree that Inuyasha was pinned to by Kikyo, so on and so forth, you know. Yeah. You know the drill.
So it's another one of those where they set up something that, like, could have come out in the future at any point, but will now happen.
But it's now.
Yeah. And it looks like in the next episode preview, they're going to fight the centipede lady and stuff, which seems like such a, like, if you're going to do a callback to episode 1 of Inuyasha, have it be episode 1 of New Inuyasha, but whatever. But that all to say, like, retarded first episode. I enjoyed it because I love Inuyasha and I don't care.
Whatever.
Because the bar is so low. I cannot stress that enough. I do not care what happens at all. I will enjoy it because it's Inuyasha. The music plays again. Like, they have the original soundtrack. It's all still there. It plays and you go, I'm right back. I'm back where I was. You could just play this right after the last episode of the final act and not skip a beat.
Yep. You could just roll right on through. It's like how, you know, there's certain kinds of food that, like, it doesn't really matter how good it actually is because you're going to enjoy it no matter what. That's how it is. Yeah. It's like that. It's like, it's you know, this is not high quality fucking art, but you're like, oh yeah, that is good. I liked it.
Yeah. And then, like, the ending theme plays and, like, you know, there's a very high bar to set for Inuyasha ending themes.
Yes.
This one was good.
It's all right.
You know, it might grow on me. Because it's, like, obviously I've been hearing the other Inuyasha endings my entire fucking life. So, like, I love those very, very big.
Very
this
big.
one, you know, maybe the opening theme is shit.
Tremendous.
But, like, all Inuyasha opening themes are shit.
Yeah.
The
opening themes are never as strong
they're never
as
as
the
good.
endings.
They're all really wacky and stupid. At least they didn't have all the sound effects.
It's time for Inuyasha.
All the classic Inuyasha opening themes have sound effects that are hilarious.
Yeah, oh god. Oh, the sword noises and shit. Ooh.
But, yeah, a solid ending theme. And that's it. It was a fun time.
There he is.
That's all for our discussion of episode 0 of Inuyasha Yashahime.
Inuyasha Yashahime, that's the official name of the show.
Yeah, stick around for more, we're probably going to talk about Higurashi next.
Oh boy. It's just a nostalgic season, ain't it?
Yeah, new anime season, so we'll talk about some anime. Well, you know, I'm sure there's going to be more cartoons in the future. Check out our Patreon for bonus episodes where we talk about our life and funny things, and do funny stuff.
Debatable.
I think the bonus episodes are pretty good. I think they're pretty chill. They're pretty chill.
Someone likes
it's like
them.
the H3 podcast. Anywho, bye.
Bye.